Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to do my second video, which has been a while since I've really done two videos in the same day. I've been really missing doing reviews, and surprisingly, I can actually say that, I enjoy reviewing more than I do making movies in some respects. You guys scared you guys for a second, didn't I? You guys thought I was going to say I enjoy... No. Everything that you could do in life has its problems and has its obstacles, but I don't know. I just think that reviewing is a lot of fun too, and it's fun to discover new things. It's fun to learn more about film, just as it is to make film. And when you're reviewing a movie, you don't have to worry about problems. And so, anyways, I am reviewing another Jenna Ortega movie, and I know you guys wonder too, Marco, what's the deal with you? And it's like, well, listen. For some reason, there's a lot of people in Hollywood that I would never want to work with, but just because, I really don't care about them. But Jenna Ortega is one of the ones that I definitely would want to work with. And I don't know, I really like her in interviews. And so if I ever got the chance to work with her, I would want to see everything that she's ever done so that I can know what she's good and bad at and be able to tailor a role that I could give to her, if that makes sense, because that's what I do. I cast people who are scarily similar to the parts that they play, including myself. Sometimes, not all the times, not all the characters I'm playing in my first movie. But anyways, this movie that I'm reviewing is Afterwards. I was gonna, review another Jenna movie a few months ago, but I was just like, ooh, what's this crappy looking movie? Because the poster is very queer, okay? And I say queer as in weird, out there. It looks like a movie you would see at the library. It looks like, like you're in the library and you're checking out the hot chick in the horror section, the horror book section, and then you go over and walk over to the DVD section and there's some big old man fat fuck standing in front of the good movies and TV shows like the X-Files. I used to rent X-Files episodes from the library as a kid. And then, of course, my favorite thing to rent was Halloween, The Happy Haunting of America, which was a documentary made in 1998, the year I was born. And I know you're also wondering, why am I talking about the library so much? It's because the main character in this movie is a librarian. But, as I was saying, this cover is terrible. It's an awful, awful cover because, number one, it looks like you'd see this cover in a library. I mean, I don't know if they did that on purpose or what. It looks very peculiar. And one of the weird things about it is the fact that they spoil the main character's personal transformation that she goes through in the movie. She doesn't look like how she looks on the cover until there's 30 minutes left in the movie. So, I thought that was kind of crappy. And then another thing that's really random and weird is that on the bottom picture with the main guy, Juan, in the background is this Latin building. And on the rooftop is I think it's a lemur? Or it's not a lemur, it's some sort of a monkey or something. And it's just there's this random monkey sitting on the rooftop. And what's funny is that This monkey is never in the movie at all. I mean, ever. There's no monkey in this movie. There's no scene where they get chased on a rooftop. This isn't fucking Planet of the Apes. This is Afterwards, which the title is fucking retarded. Afterwards. What does that mean? Is that like after birth or something? Like, what is that? Afterlife? What? Afterwards. I hate that title. I hate it with a passion. Because guess what, guys? As soon as you get past this awful cover and this awful title, this movie's amazing. It is phenomenal. It is the best. It's not the best, but it is the best of right now. It is such a sweet movie. It gets better and better as it goes along. It's like someone giving you a hug and they never let go. Except, in a good way, not in, a creepy, scary way. But, yeah. So this movie is all about this librarian. Her name is Jane. Which was also kind of weird, because that reminds me of... Oh! I dropped my mouse. It reminds me of Tarzan. So she is working at the library... And this was one of the weak parts of the movie, the opening up of this movie, because basically I'm going to tell you guys about the story structure of any movie that you've ever seen in your entire life, or most movies, 99% of movies. You start off the movie showing the main character going through their daily life. Okay? You think about every movie you've ever seen, that's how they all start out in some way, shape, or form. Because then what happens is there's a wrench thrown in. There's something that happens and it initiates the plot of whatever happens. A lot of the times nowadays, though, they just jump right into the middle of a story without showing a character going through their life. Because it's kind of like an attention span thing. It's the audience doesn't want to see 30 minutes of setup and, character growth or anything. They just want to jump right into the story and see, X, Y, and Z fall into place. This movie, it has a very short sequence of her working at this library in America. And the thing that I didn't like about it was the fact that, number one, this movie had that 1990s thing where, you have the ugly character... And they're just so uglified that it's kind of cartoonish. And in this case, she kind of looks like she works at Hogwarts or something. She looks like she could be mixing potions in the back of this library and selling them to kids. Yeah. And then she's like, you know what the one problem with libraries is? The general population. And her big problem is that apparently she doesn't like that people ask where the bathroom is instead of asking about books. It's wait a second, you mean to tell me that in a library, any library, that all people do is ask where the bathroom is? That's just false. I mean, that is blatantly false. I mean, maybe, I thought that was so stupid and queer. It made no sense at all. It was totally rushed, and it was okay, this is a huge deal, because this whole movie is about this woman going to Costa Rica for a vacation because she wants to go there and kill herself. And yeah, that is the plot of the movie. And this is all you give us of her life in America? Oh no, she has to be a librarian and tell people where the bathroom is. Boo fucking who? Are you serious? I bet that there's people who watch my videos that have to go through worse things on that on a daily basis. So yeah, I thought that was stupid. And And then she talks with one of the other librarians, and then suddenly she's in Costa Rica, and we never see her home, or anything like that. We never hear about her family, and this is another thing, was that I felt like, okay, usually in this kind of a circumstance, they want the character to be revealed as the movie goes on, and you learn more and more about them as the movie goes on, and it's sort of like you're learning about them just as much as the love interest is learning about them in like kind of like a cool, unique way. But no, we hardly ever learn anything about her other than the fact that her favorite book is A Tale of Two Cities, which I was really pissed off with that because they spoiled it, and they spoiled it for no fucking reason. Like, there was no reason to spoil that book, because there was nothing that paralleled what happened in that book, at least from my knowledge of what they spoiled. Like, that didn't happen. There wasn't any love triangle or anything. That didn't happen. So I really thought that was poor to do. You know, I hate it. That is one of my biggest pet peeves of movie history of all time. To spoil another movie, to spoil another book. You know how many movies I've had ruined for me because I watch another movie, and then in the middle of that movie, it's like, oh, let's just spoil the plot of that, or let's just spoil a huge character death. You know, like, I've had so many things spoiled, and Charles Dickens is really good. And so, like, it's really irritating to me that, like, I entrusted this movie and it spoiled me. It raped Charles Dickens's corpse with their spoilers. So, anyways, this woman, Jane, she's in Costa Rica, and all of a sudden, this is also really weird. I had no idea what happened here. I still don't know what happened. It is a mystery to me. So, she's in the cab, or the taxi with the taxi driver, and all of a sudden, we see her with her transformation hair cut, you know, her makeover, and she's having sex with the cab driver, and I was like, is this a fantasy sequence? And then I really can't tell. Because the cab driver goes home, and then there's discussion with, like, his mom or his sister or something, where she tells him that they saw him at the hotel with her coming out of it or something about, like, she knows that he probably had sex with her, and, but I don't know, because they didn't act like the woman checked into her hotel until after the sex scene, which wouldn't make any sense and so I was just totally confused. I have no idea. I still don't know. I really can't even figure it out. It's like a puzzle to me. It didn't make any sense at all, because she never has any other fantasy sequences in the entire movie. You know, she never... So it was so out of nowhere for that to happen. Like, and I gotta be honest too, guys. Like, it's really weird to me. Because I'll admit to you guys something. Like, look, I've had my fair share of crushes when I go on a trip, and you go on a trip and you see that one hot woman working at the diner or something like that. Like, I've had tons of that throughout the years. Tons of that. Like, there was this one golf resort I went to, and this was in 2014. And I wish I could remember her name, because I remembered her name, and then I forgot it. And because, like, I don't know, because I just felt like, I remember too much stuff. I have a really good memory. And so, like, sometimes I remember way too much, like every single little detail of anything. And, we had this waitress, and she looked like a hotter Jennifer Lawrence. And I'll tell you guys, like, I would have golfed a lot of golf to go on a date with that Jennifer Lawrence 2.0, and she's probably, like, cool. unlike Jennifer Lawrence. You know, she probably like is like an actual like interesting and fun person to be around, unlike Jennifer Lawrence. And so like it was really it's really sad thinking about that, because like yeah, uh, you know, and why was I talking about that? Oh yeah, because when I met her, I thought, yeah, she's really beautiful. She's really hot. I wish I could stay here and there could be some way that I could like get to know her better or whatever. But no, I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh my God, wouldn't it be cool if she came back to my resort room and we had sex with each other? Because it's so random, because like this woman, she came here to commit suicide. She didn't come here to have sex with the cab driver. And so then, yeah. And I've never had like, oh, okay, well, there was one. There was one who was really, really curvy. A curvy waitress at a barbecue place. It might have just been because the food was making my mouth water, and then she did too. She was thicker than the ribs that I ate. And so anyways, I'm sorry. So anyways, you go to this cab driver's home life, and he's a single dad, very stereotypical. We all know where this is going. And his daughter is Jenna, overrated, or not overrated, Ortega. And he's also doing one of those stereotypical things that movie characters sometimes do to like humanize themselves and make themselves more interesting. And that is, he learns like a new word every day or every once in a while to impress American women. So what ends up happening is that he has a thing for this woman, Jane. And probably the funniest scene of the movie is that, excuse me, is that she's in her hotel room and she's about to kill herself. She's got 3 bottles of pills, and she's got like all the piles of pills in both hands, and she's about to deep throat those pills. And then you have on the door, all of a sudden, excuse me, I'm your nice tour guide. Hello, how's it going? And she's like, oh, I'm trying to kill myself. What the fuck are you want? I don't want to talk to you. And he's like, hello, I just want to talk to you. Come outside, ma'am. And it just goes on forever and ever. And I was like, this is like a sequence out of like a National Lampoon's Vacation movie. Like, couldn't you guys just imagine Chevy Chase sitting on the floor in his hotel room? He's in his 70s. His wife left him. His kids hate him. And he's trying to kill himself. And then all of a sudden, hello? Hello? I want to talk to you. It'll just be a couple minutes. And finally she talks to him. And basically, for the rest of the movie, he takes her on tours of Costa Rica. We learn a lot about nature. We learn a lot about ourselves. Sorry, I had to let my cat in. He really likes coming in here now for some reason. So, like, he was actually, if you guys can believe this, I thought there was a person knocking on my bedroom door. But it was my cat. He was knocking on the door, and then he started scratching. So, yeah. So anyways, after that hilarious sequence, he takes her on a bunch of tours. He tries to give her a really good time. And yeah, they just get to know each other for the rest of the movie, and eventually they get together, obviously. And she still wants to commit suicide, it seems. And that's kind of like the dark thing, is like, why does she want to do that? There's no sort of, you don't really get to know why or like anything about her other than she has a miserable life, I guess, because it's boring. And then he is the stereotypical, like, humble guy with no sort of flaws or anything. So that's one of the downfalls of this movie, is that it feels a little fantastical. You know, I hate it, especially when it comes to, like, modern movies. Because, to me, and I know that this might be wrong, I know that a lot of people might take issue with this, but to me, it feels like whenever a woman in a movie nowadays gets a love interest, he's always perfect. He always is like really humble and nice, and he has no character flaws at all. You know, he's not allowed to have any sort of weakness, any sort of like bad thing that he does, you know, unless it's like in his perspective, and like there's the big reveal thing that happens, and then the sad period. And then when it comes to men, when men have love interests, they have a lot of flaws. A lot. And so it's like there's this weird double standard where like, and I think it's really bad, because I think that it's a big reason why we have the problem that we do with society and with dating and romance, is because you have these movies where, like, the women get these perfect love interests, they have nothing wrong with them, and so it makes women in real life think that, like, if they get a love interest, that they would have to be perfect just like the ones in these movies. But then for the male characters, if they get a love interest, they have so many flaws, and the men just have to accept them, and they have to deal with it. And it's like, yeah, that is true to life, but, like, it should be equal to both ways. And I'm going to give you guys some fucking examples, because that's what I do on this channel. I back up what I say. I'm not a bullshitter. I'm not a liar. And here we go. Hitman. Wow. I mean, do I need to even say any more? Anything more? He has to change his entire persona to be with this woman, the spicy Latina, and she kills people. She kills 2 people in the movie. The second one he helps out with, but, like, yeah, she's a killer. She is a killer, and she didn't even have to kill her husband, her ex-husband, whatever. So, like, yeah. And then the Fall Guy. The Fall Guy. Wow. I mean, don't get me wrong, both of these are really good romances. I'm just saying, if you compare those to this movie, in this movie, this man has no weaknesses at all. He has nothing wrong that he ever does. It's like they're saying that, like, if women in their 50s who are suicidal go to, like, a foreign country on a little vacation and they want to commit suicide, there will be a Juan who will come over and save them, and they'll finally give them an orgasm after they've never had one for 30 years. You know, like, that's basically the plot of this movie in a very cynical and mean way. But, like, in The Fall Guy, he has this terrible accident happen, and then he shuts himself off to his love interest, and then she gets really mad at him. And I guess she apparently gets with all these other guys in spite of him or something, like really, really weird shit. And then, but yeah, that's actually a really good love story. So I don't want to rag on it too much. But yeah, anyways, I'm just trying to find stuff to talk about. Who am I kidding? You know, that's the problem with these simple movies, is that you find yourself going like, am I saying everything I can say? I guess so, because what do you know? There's hardly anything to say. A woman goes on a vacation. She doesn't kill herself, thankfully. Thank God. Because I'll say one of my favorite things about the movie was the performances of Marcia Gay Harden and Oscar Janada. I hope I'm saying that right. They both did a really good job. They had good chemistry with each other. And this movie just had a very chill vibe. I mean, it was such a positive movie. It was such a relaxing movie. And I loved it. I thought that it got better and better and better. And it's not that it's the greatest thing in the world. It's the fact that a lot of the times there's these movies and they're really simple and sweet and good, and that's all they need to be. They don't need to try to be anything more than they are. You know, they don't need to try to be like an action movie or anything. They can just be like a sweet little movie, and it's enough. And there's so many movies that aren't able to accomplish that. You know, like I watched that shitty You movie that was made by Jam from The Office and her real life husband. Ugh, like horrible, horrible movie. And that movie was trying to accomplish somewhat of like what this movie was trying to accomplish. And if as a case study, if you look at both of these movies and you want to make a movie like this, you would be able to see what works and what doesn't. So anyways, I don't know if there's anything else to say except for my food review, which will be delightful just like the movie itself. This movie is like a peanut butter chocolate sundae. It is like it's a perfect summer movie too. It's a great movie to watch during the summer when it's hot out, when you want to sit inside on an afternoon, a sad, lonely afternoon on a Tuesday or Wednesday and watch a movie. And put on this movie, have a lot of fun, and I love the tagline of this movie is genius. Everyone deserves a love story. I mean, what a sweet, romantic, positive, fun movie. Like, I'm so glad that I watched this, and I'm so glad that I didn't just give up on Jenna and her movies, because like I want to know everything. Because I'm that type of person. I want to know every single little detail. Like in terms of like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, you know, I like knowledge, like librarians, like this librarian woman. You know, I like to know everything that I can know about the world and about the people that I'm going to work with, you know, because it really helps me understand more. And this movie helped me understand that, like, there's a lot of great movies like this. And also, another thing is that this is a great vacation movie. And it's really hard to make a vacation movie. I mean, I know obviously the National Lampoon's Vacation, Christmas Vacation, but like there are not a lot of great vacation movies. There's a lot of bad ones. Like I remember, I can't remember if I reviewed it, but it was like that Summertime movie. I think that was the title, and it was all about Katharine Hepburn going to Italy, and they were having that child smoke in real life and shit, and she was encouraging it, and like, ew. And then she was having an affair with a married man, like, oh, God. Oh. Like, see, that movie was a piece of shit. And, Mr. Bean's Holiday, ew. Oh. That movie is the shits. But Afterwards is a peanut butter sundae, you know. And what I mean by a peanut butter chocolate sundae is you get vanilla ice cream, you get a scoop of peanut butter, you sprinkle some hot fudge or chocolate sauce on it and put some whipped cream on it. Boom. Delightful. So please like this video and comment. Tell me what you thought of Afterwards. I can't believe that I discovered such a good movie. Such a fucking good movie. And all because of Jenna Wednesday Ortega, the most overrated, overhyped actress in Hollywood, who is now... And now, this is another reason why I almost did not watch this movie. Okay, this is something to talk about, because... And it's only fair because I talked about the smoking thing with Miller's Girl. If you guys remember that, like the whole smoking controversy where she had the pictures released of her smoking in public. Well, it turns out, guys, get your barf bags out. You are going to throw up. It was bad enough that Jenna dated that Percy guy, the guy who looked like a rat from Wednesday season 1. You know, it's bad enough that she dated him, and she's actually in a movie with him that I'm going to have to suffer through later on in the year, called Spring, Winter, Summer, and Fuck You. And, well, apparently, I almost had a heart attack when I found this out, because it was so, like, outrageous. I was like, oh my god, why would you do that? You just had the smoking thing, and you did this. Jenna is dating Pete Davidson. Oh my god. I mean, there is no lower in Hollywood. There's nothing lower in Hollywood that you could do than date Pete Davidson. And it is so bizarre how he is, like, he's basically slept with almost every woman in Hollywood who's single. It's really, really gross. It's like, oh god. So that almost took me out of watching anything else of hers. Like, honestly, like, just like the smoking thing, because, like, I do have trouble separating real life from the movie sometimes in terms of, like, you know, my favorite movie, Fright Night, like, I love that movie to death, but, you know, I will never forget the negative experience I had meeting Chris Sarandon. And so, like, you know, that kind of takes it out for me. Takes me out of the movie. And, yeah. So that was really sad. I could do a whole video ranting about that, by the way, but I won't. Like, oh. Like, and she did this right before Beetlejuice 2 comes out. I mean, oh my god. I was planning on seeing that movie in theaters. And now I don't want to now, because I don't want to give money so that Jenna can buy Pete Davidson more Hot Pockets and weed and shit. You know, like, oh my god. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews, because I keep it honest on this channel. I know a lot of people nowadays don't like honesty. They think that honesty is like a taboo boo-boo. And to them, I just say, go fuck yourself. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.